Hey guys, welcome to my very Christmassy time. Mickey Mouse Christmas jumper, tinsel, Christmas candles. For those who don't know, I am Sarah and I have many things that mean I'm disabled, different chronic illnesses and stuff. And today we are talking about Functional Neurological Disorder in my little series I like to call What Is It Like to Have? I was already planning to do the video about this week, and then the other day I actually had an episode, which meant I had a nice little reference from my own story. First off, what is a functional neurological disorder? Functional neurological disorder is where the nervous system doesn't function properly. What it says on the tin, right? So the signals between like the brain and like the limbs and whatever get confused, and it can lead to so many different symptoms. It's sort of seen as less of a hardware issue and more of a software issue. It's a computer reference. So it's not my brain, it's fine. It's the other stuff that means I'm a bit broken. So for years it was kind of neglected because it doesn't show up in tests. I've had so many MRIs, so many CT scans, X-rays, blood tests, everything, and it's all normal. So people often say, oh, it's all in your head, which I mean technically yes, because my brain is in my head and my brain basically functions my whole body. But now it's pretty accepted and they know what it is, and while not all doctors know it because it's still a rare disease, it's still, if you see a neurologist, obviously, they're going to know what it is. So symptoms. So motor dysfunction symptoms are limb weakness and paralysis, movement issues such as tremors or spasms, speech issues, so like you can stop talking or have whispered speech, slurred speech, stutter. Then there are sensory dysfunction issues, so like altered sense of yourself, so like numbness, tingling, pain. A lot of the time it's just on one side, but it can be in general. You get vision issues such as loss of vision, double vision. Then there's the altered awareness, so like I really struggle with this word. Dissociative seizures, which are like also called non-epileptic seizures. You also can get blackouts and faints. Symptoms fluctuate. You can have different things day to day. And whilst not always, you can sometimes get chronic pain, fatigue, sleep issues, memory symptoms, bowel and bladder symptoms, anxiety and depression. What a surprise. They always like to add anxiety and depression on there. And do you know why a lot of that is? When you have these issues, it's really hard not to have anxiety and depression. I'm anxious all the time that I'm going to fall and not be able to move, you know? So they don't really know why this happens. They're trying to do some research, and some research suggests that if you have a pre-existing condition that has like chronic pain or stress, anxiety, depression, then that could kick it off. So it was explained to me that it's like my body went, oh, you're in too much pain, I'm just going to stop that limb from functioning. And then that'll stop the pain, right? It doesn't work like that. My body is stupid. Functional neurological disorder can like learn patterns, they reckon. So like, for example, for me, when I fall, a lot of the time I get paralysis or limb weakness. And sometimes I get this speech movements, so like you find different triggers of what can set it off. Sometimes there are no triggers. Life just hates you a little bit. And now we approach my story of what I get. So I usually, as I've said, I fall and I get those symptoms. I can wake up and not be able to move my legs, usually if they're in lots of pain. To be fair, I get most of these symptoms that it lists. I'm just trying to read through them, trying to find different ones that I don't get. I don't get vision loss, but I do get, my vision goes a bit hazy and I get like the aura stuff that you usually get before migraines. So yeah, that's all real fun. I'm not sure if I get the seizure stuff, but then again I don't really know. And that kind of leads us on to my story because there's a little bit in there that sort of links to that. So, the other day, I was making myself some lunch, a tuna sandwich for anybody who's interested and wants to know what I eat for my lunch. And then I got dizzy and I was about to say, hey, I kind of need some help, I'm a bit dizzy, when I blacked out. I came to on the floor. Turns out I couldn't move. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't communicate in any way. So as far as my mum and my carer knew, I was unconscious. But inside I was like, let me out. I know everything that's going on. I could hear them. I could feel them trying to move me. And I was like, I'm real comfortable right now. Please don't move me. But obviously I could not communicate to them. And it's like being trapped in your own body. It's the scariest thing. I can smile and joke about it right now, but at the time you're like, cool, how long is it going to be till I'll be able to communicate to someone? What if something bad happens and I can't tell them? So anyway, this all happened, pretty scary. They called the paramedics because whilst we're quite used to me falling, not responding at all, they don't know what's going on, so it's safer to call the paramedics, just to make sure. Paramedics came. They were trying to rouse me. They did all the sort of pain trigger things. So they pinched at my ear. My ear still hurts. It's been what? Wednesday? It was on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's 3 days. I literally just had to count that on my memo board. That's so bad. They dug into my shoulder, so that really hurts as well. And I was laying there this is really painful, but I wasn't even flinching. I didn't flinch. I didn't make any noises. I was just laying there still. And they were really confused. When they did sort of eye tests, apparently my eyes were moving. I could overhear the paramedics saying, she's not unconscious because her eyes moved. I don't know why she's not moving and not responding to us. My mum told them about my functional neurological disorder and how that could have been a thing, but that it wasn't common for me to be blacked out, especially for this long. Usually I can at least get my eyes open so I can blink once for yes and twice for no. So they took me around to the hospital. The hospital was jam-packed. I had to wait in the ambulance for ages because there was a bit of a queue trying to get into the emergency department. And I don't mean a queue on the road. I mean they didn't have any beds. And because of the coronavirus, we couldn't queue up. Usually they'll put you in a bed, put you in the corridor, and you sort of wait in the corridor. I had to sit in the ambulance. I said sit, I was laying down, I couldn't move. Oh, by that point I could open my eyes, so we were doing the blinking thing. Although that became an issue when my mum wasn't in the ambulance with us. Luckily, she was able to drive around and follow us and come with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to communicate with people because mum knows my blinking thing. She knows when I sort of look to something. She will be able to guess quite easily because she knows me, what I'm trying to refer to. So luckily they allowed her in because she's my carer. So she was allowed to come in with me. We were sat there for ages, and one of the paramedics was saying that she thinks it's because the GP surgeries aren't allowing face-to-face unless you have to phone them up, and then if you're lucky you'll be able to get seen. Otherwise they do it over the phone. I had to talk about a bunch of my physical issues over the phone, and obviously I had to do the touching and prodding and stuff, so that's a different matter. But because of that, lots of people are coming down to A&E with stuff. And we also reckon because they're a bit nervous about the coronavirus, lots of people are coming in with like colds and coughs and stuff because they're nervous that they've got COVID, and so they've gone down to A&E. So I'm begging you, unless it's an emergency or unless you've been told to, please try not to go down to A&E, because I had no idea what was going on. I kept like stopping breathing, and like apparently I was shaking quite a bit sometimes, like just like my head was doing this. And I had to wait outside. So yeah. Once inside, they tried to get the thing in to get some blood. They were having issues trying to find my veins, so I've got a nice bruise and my arm hurts now. Usually I'm so good at blood tests, like they will just take some and they'll be like, oh my gosh, your veins are so good. Today they were like, where are your veins? My hands were so cold in the ambulance that they couldn't get the little finger thing to work. So they were trying to get my blood oxygen levels, and they couldn't do it because my hands were so cold. So they did a bunch of tests. They did my obs. They did blood tests. They were like poking at me. I started to come back round. I started to be able to move my hands and stuff. They had to catheterize me because I couldn't go to the toilet, but I had like a litre in my bladder. And that's not great when you can't go and you're like full. So I was quite glad when a lady came around and she was like, do you want to order your dinner? And I was like, yes, I am so hungry. In my head, obviously. I was communicating with my eyes. And I had sausage and hash browns and scrambled eggs. And it was quite nice. Quite enjoyed it, actually. I complained about stomach pain. They said that they would have to do a pregnancy test. And I was like, lol, I'm a lesbian. Like, there's no way. And my mum was like, well, you know, this time of year, Mary and all that. And I was like, luckily the doctor came around and he was like, yeah, what a surprise, it's negative. And I was like, cool, good times. Not pregnant. Most of my stuff came back. I wasn't talking yet. I was like communicating with the doctor by like writing on my phone at this point. And I came home because they were like, it's just your normal stuff. And then I was just chilling. And everybody was a little bit traumatized. So that was my story. I hope this has given you an insight into what it's like to have a functional neurological disorder. And I hope that if you were going around going, I was just diagnosed with this, or I have a bunch of symptoms and I don't know what they are, and you watch this and you were like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Please let me know, because I like knowing that I've helped people. And if it was rubbish, please don't let me know, because I don't like knowing that it was rubbish. So just go about your day. There's no need. And I'll see you next time.